Come on, get in, man. I'm proud to score. I want to thank my agent, my parents, the cleaner. Yeah, nah, G, it's off. Sorry, what? You're offside by about 17 yards. Yeah, and what? Try me again, you pagan. Who's offside now? Actually, you are. Again, by like a distance. Crying out loud. Yo guys, it is your boy Earnin here, and you are watching FTW. This is of course the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what the world of football has to offer during the last 7 days. What's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, it's actually been International Women's Day in the past 7 days. Shout out to all the women involved in the beautiful game, whether it be pundits, players, managers and staff. United fans might have to make a change of allegiance, though in their men's side is more washed than the women's one.
If you like ladies football, clap your hands.
Jill Scott has a message for all of those not back in the women's game. Meanwhile, it was a rough day for men that put Benfica versus Club Brugge over an evening with the missus, and they're down in the doghouse on the sofa as we speak.
Looks like I'm gonna have to behave myself today.
On to the football though now, and we start in the Champions League. Yeah, sorry, you're gonna have to wait for the 7-0.
Whoever's involved in this, stop it.
The titanic clash of the round of 16 was arguably Paris Saint-Germain versus Bayern Munich, and these two huge favourites would battle it out for... Yeah, nah, they're out again.
Mbappe.
With a 1-goal deficit after the first leg, PSG once again failed to find the net, losing 3-0 on aggregate to the German Giants. It was yet another game without a clean sheet for the Parisians, though I'm sure Neymar didn't have one watching at home either. PSG are once again underperforming on the European stage. Lionel Messi was looking around for a Champions League medal, dodging a pitch invader who tried to tackle him, who's probably better than Verratti, to be honest with you, and is on the same amount of knockout goals this season in the Champions League as Ronaldo, who was loving watching a French side's collapse from the Al Abalaj Arena. It was a poor day for Kylian Mbappe as well. Florentino Perez is ready to launch a European super bid for him. To be fair, PSG did almost score through a Jan Sommer howler denied by Matthijs de Ligt. Great defending from the Dutchman. Meanwhile, Nuno Mendes clocked off his shift at left back early. He honestly might be from Barbados, you know. The loss was made even worse by the fact that Bayern's goal scorers were Kingsley Coman and Choupo-Moting, both ex of PSG, and with Eric's agent, expect him to lift the Ballon d'Or soon. PSG practiced pens before this game. I love the confidence that it would even go that far. PSG are genuinely like the kid with 57 million FIFA points, but he plays on amateur. And what a goal Thier and his squad gonna come away with this season. League On, they basically have their name printed on that before the season even starts.
Paris Saint-Germain. Au revoir. Le Champions League.
At Stamford Bridge, and goals from Raheem Sterling and Kai Havertz turned around a first leg deficit to take Chelsea through to the quarterfinals, though you'd be forgiven for thinking it was a second Borussia Dortmund home leg. Who's put the Mexican filter over this place? In a series probably based around illegal drugs cartels, because that's all the US thinks that Mexico does. A man with an extremely Spanish name and slicked back hair has all the cash in the world and buys Mykhailo Mudryk for 100 mil. 100 mil? Are you sick? Before the game, and Dortmund decided to train on a random pitch in Moorgate. Imagine this squad in London. Marco Reus doesn't survive the tube escalators. Dortmund also went into the match missing their starting goalkeeper and first leg scorer Karim Adeyemi. The German side's boss was devastated finding out he's got to start a 66 overall regen in goal. Apparently he used to play for Jan Regensburg. That sounds like a defensive midfielder from Werder Bremen. He wasn't too bad to be fair, and I thought he was unlucky with the encroachment, but this was Dortmund's first competitive loss this season, the other loss being to Vietnam, who are a pretty similar level to Chelsea. The Blues squad won't be impressed when Conor Gallagher has to start now that they're actually winning games.
Yo, you better keep your mouth quiet. You better keep your mouth quiet.
But now, for real, Chelsea were a lot better here. Mudryk benched for this game and the win versus Leeds. Coincidence? I think not. It's been a great week for them as well. Through the Champions League, and West Ham lost ground in the relegation fight. And their full squad will be getting together for some wild celebrations. Now then, a quiet one at Anfield, eh? Well, how in the devil did I get here? Liverpool inflicted an historic defeat on Manchester United in the shock result of the season, beating them 7-0.
Manchester United.
United fans, leave the group chat. Put your phone on silent, emigrate to Cambodia, because this one won't be forgotten for a long time. Braces from United target Cody Gakpo, Mo Salah, Darwin Núñez, and one from Firmino completed an embarrassing Red Devils defeat. Curtis Jones was describing his view from the bench.
Bosh, amazing, sick, great. Fantastic.
Meanwhile, Cristiano Ronaldo predicted this one from the start. The first half was a pretty standard affair, but United capitulated in the second. Lisandro Martinez tried some no-look defending here, yet leave all of that stuff to Bobby, mate. Did his controller disconnect or something? Darwin Núñez was on the touchline, rubbing it in Erik ten Hag's face.
You can call me Baldy all you like, don't bother me.
I didn't call you Baldy.
Salah, Núñez, and Salah again then made it 6. It was honestly baffling stuff. United just threw in the towel. Bruno Fernandes tried to start up a new acting career midway through. Better than him being bullied by a child, to be fair. Bruno went home after the match and tried to take out his anger on the fridge. But despite leading, Darwin Núñez was getting vexed at Luke Shaw. Are you mental? Come back here. Yeah, no, ref, no, nothing to see here. Don't worry, sir. Soon enough, though, and Bobby Firmino would make it 7.
Oh, that's the one they wanted. That is the cherry on the icing on the cake.
This is the worst defeat for United since 1931. Not the first time we've seen a return to the 30s this week.
Over $1.2 trillion.
But here, United fans emigrated out of the stadium, presumably onto Norwich's website to invest in some new scarves. Before the match, and Graham Souness tried to convince Gary Neville and Roy Keane Liverpool would win, they didn't believe him. And now look. And furthermore, where's Paul Pogba? But the game was over now, and Erik ten Hag stayed silent in the changing room, instead catching Bruno Fernandes outside Old Trafford.
Wallahi, I will go Joe. On my mum's life, I will go Joe. You fucking lost 7-0 and you still want to fucking do it.
In Indonesian Instagram, and the Durex account for the nation still prefers 69 to 70. Rugby 7's Twitter account was milking it too, and as a laughing stock of the nation, Ten Hag had to do something. He called a meeting with the entire squad and took it personally when Fernandes said it was all his fault.
Who are you talking to right now? Who is it you think you see? Do you know how much I make a year? I mean, even if I told you, you wouldn't believe it.
Phil Jones was confused being involved in the meeting, having not played since 2016.
I'm like, what did he say fuck me for?
Meanwhile, Lindelof and Van der Beek were escorted out of Carrington after suggesting a 5-at-the-back formation. Jamie Carragher showed up to Champions League punditry with a 7-Up can.
We're getting into March. The 7th of March, for me, it feels like really important. Now, these games are really cutthroat, as I said. Okay, well, let me ask you another question. Jude Bellingham's there tonight. He's a superstar. We feel he's going to move on. I mean, what type of price tag are we talking? I mean, you'd think it'd have to start at least with a 7 and go from there. I mean, AC Milan, how big a problem would that be if they go out the Champions League? We are talking about the 7 times winners. I mean, 7 times to win the Champions League.
Oh, I see what he's doing.
Oh, no.
Now I caught on, finally.
He's going to need to watch out when Roy Keane puts excessive levels of poison in it. Opinions, though, I don't think it's going to fundamentally change United's season. Hopefully it'll have a positive influence on Liverpool, challenging and grabbing top 4. But what a day to be a Liverpool fan. We're back, boys. There were dramatic scenes at Arsenal too, who came back from behind to beat Bournemouth in the 97th minute. Reece Nelson recovered 3 points after Ben White and Thomas Partey's goals, and Ben White's strike means that all of Arsenal's outfielders have scored this season before Richarlison has. Laura Woods had a great response for a Tottenham fan on TalkSport.
And you lot are the most cringeworthy, desperate, honestly, try-hard bunch of fan base I've ever heard in my life. You are the luckiest club I've ever come across in my life.
How's your luck signing Richarlison? He hasn't even scored yet. Dan, it's been lovely speaking to you this morning. Enjoy the rest of your miserable season and make sure you call up again later.
Meanwhile, Mikel Arteta managed to find a lost child down on the touchline. I love this. He's happy to celebrate with the kid before realising he needs to find mum and dad. Mikel was in the dressing room drawing cartoons for him till the authorities found his parents. There was chaos at full time. Ian Wright was loving it. Ben White celebrated in front of time-wasting goalkeeper Neto. It's a shithousery award for the Arsenal fullback. But the FA weren't too happy, announcing they're investigating the celebrations. A 97th minute winner whilst chasing a title. How did the FA expect them to celebrate? The Premier League are already coming through, arresting Reece Nelson for raising his hands. They must have unbelievable reactions to goals going in.
As expected, Arsenal have had a lot of possession. It's taken them about 8 minutes or so to actually get their first attempt at goal. Here it comes, they've just scored.
On the other side of North London, though, and it's not such a great time.
What do we think of Tottenham? What do we think of shit? Thank you!
Yeah, so they're out of the Champions League after a 0-0 draw with AC Milan, meaning a 1-0 defeat on aggregate. Tottenham are once again not winning a trophy. Here we have Spurs whenever there's any chance of silverware whatsoever.
Yeah, I bottled it.
Where's the camera? I bottled it. There you go.
I mean, Tottenham fans have got to be fed up by now. The only thing in that trophy cabinet is a can of Febreze. Emerson was average here. Probably the most disappointing Royal performance since Harry sparring with Will.
My penis was oscillating.
Clement Longley is useless. He's definitely actually from Luxembourg. Heung-min Son's dad was getting defensive, seeing his child get beefed on Twitter, even though he actually put in a good performance.
You know what? The kid stepped up to the plate and done it. And all you people in the UK what doubted my son, I said every TV company you want sacking off.
Another forward disappointed is Richarlison, who said he doesn't understand Antonio Conte's decisions because he thinks he's in good form, and yet he got benched for this one. Brother, you haven't scored a league goal, so do you think Antonio even cares? He wants to get out of there as well, saying that the board might sack him before the end of the season. Here he is getting out of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium ASAP. They just have to get top 4 at this point. Back in the Premier League, Manchester City beat Newcastle 2-0 thanks to goals from Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva. Jack Grealish got the better of Miguel Almiron, who played like Miguel Almiron.
Take him off the pitch.
Anthony Gordon tried to listen into some tactical advice before Ruben Diaz got him out of the way. Meanwhile, Erling Haaland clashed with Dan Burn. Erling wasn't willing to be friends with Dan when the referee tried to get them to make up. Meanwhile, Phil Foden's goal here was unbelievable, going full Messi mode. Not Iceland girl in a hotel types of Messi though, thank God. Speaking of City, and right back Kyle Walker is in the news as he faces up to 2 years in prison for flashing a woman in a bar. It was International Women's Day, not pray, Kyle. Pep will be shocked when he sees Kyle on TV for Prison FC. Walker by name, stalker by nature. That's the most illegal Manchester performance since United on Sunday. Now, I'll be honest, he's going to have a tough time explaining the CCTV footage tonight to his wife.
Hey Jim, they're doing what they're doing and they're forced.
Even more so when the authorities uncover the audio from the night.
I'm so sorry, I'm going to have to get my cock out, alright?
Yeah, don't worry.
Is everyone alright?
And all of this even after John Stones was giving him advice before the night out.
Just gotta go out. By all means enjoy it, but enjoy it by being fucking disciplined here.
Ex-Manchester City man Gabriel Jesus is back in training, but he's doing another type of learning right now.
Sammy! Hi. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Jorginho spotted him learning to drive in London. I guess Jesus really has taken the wheel. It's a surprise Jorginho can even drive after all those penalties. The instructor will be frustrated when he realises that he can't parallel park. Jesus! All he's got to know is he doesn't actually have to aim for 3 points when he's behind the wheel. Now, I can't imagine it'll go well when he goes at a pond, thinking he can drive on water as well. Now, at Brighton, and they've agreed a new contract for midfielder Moises Caicedo. Good for him. You know, he probably wasn't even the highest paid Caicedo in his village before now. This guy was on a student loan, for God's sake. And his siblings are ecstatic knowing they can actually afford dinners every day. Everton have announced the creation of a mental health centre close to the ground for a great cause, but their staff will be stressed seeing the queue when Everton go 5-0 down at Man City. We've got live scenes of fans trying to get on the bus that stops outside the centre, and here's Dominic Calvert-Lewin coming off at half-time, trying to get himself admitted too. Tottenham have apparently got themselves in trouble with their stadium after putting on a 5th Beyonce show. At least there's no Champions League games for it to clash with. They've got more council warnings than trophies this season. The new rumoured Liverpool away kit for the 23-24 season has been leaked, and it's looking like an Excel spreadsheet. Meanwhile, UK Evening TV is the best place to find ball knowledge.
Which national team qualified for the Men's FIFA World Cup for the first time in 64 years?
Southampton.
Good morning, USA. In Spain, and Barcelona could be banned from the transfer window unless they recoup over £100 million in sales. Frenkie de Jong's going to be frustrated again, seeing he's being used as another financial lever. No. Meanwhile, Robert Lewandowski's outside the ground busking to try and get extra cash. Now, in El Clasico Super Copa edition, and Barcelona came out on top, despite the potential financial problems. Gavi was getting in Vinicius Jr.'s face in this one. Honestly, mate, Vinicius is on everyone in Spain's mind as soon as he touches the ball. Meanwhile, a week after posting his Wikipedia achievements and cover letter on Instagram, Karim Benzema got firmly pocketed here. In Italy, and Moise Kean came off the bench explosively for Juventus. 1 minute after coming off the bench. It's a great heat map, I've got to say. His highlights were absolutely outrageous. Paul Pogba has been disciplined by Juventus after turning up late for a pre-match meeting. He's been at Juve like 2 years now, I swear, and he hasn't done anything. I told you he wasn't around. As I said, he was late for the meeting because he was walking up to the bus stop like this. Meanwhile, Jose Mourinho, after being suspended for Roma, went to an under-14s match at the game and was actively booing Lazio under-14 players whilst trying to take a penalty, as well as encouraging his Roma youngsters to time waste late on. Honestly, Jose, never changed.
Football
heritage.
And at Sudatrol, one of the most northern clubs in Italy, they had an excessively long away day in the league this week, so much so that only one fan turned up for it, and he's now become famous amongst some of the other supporters. Now in France, and Neymar is at it again. Fucking hell, here we go again. He's out for the season after a nasty ankle injury. My thoughts are with him because his injury record has been terrible. He posted on Instagram saying he'll be back stronger, but the one positive is his sister was gassy in the doctor's report. Apparently, he also messaged an OnlyFans model this week on Instagram asking for a threesome with her twin. So it's not his own sister, but hers this time. That's disgusting! He's trying to perform serious risonometry, but has been exposed. And KYLIAN Mbappe sat him down to show him the DMs in a meeting.
I'm recoiling watching that. It is disgusting. How do you feel when you see it back?
Exactly the same. It is difficult for me to explain.
Now that it's time for your goals of the week, we've got some special strikes again. First of all, over at Aberdeen, where Louis Duke finished off a lovely solo goal in style. Over in Brazil, and in the 90th minute with the game level, Gabriel looks up for Barretos and scores unbelievably from the halfway line. But finally, over in Algeria, and take a bow, a youngster called Buchucha, who plays for ES Setif, who's shown off some unbelievable skill to score a wild solo goal from distance. Now, to lead FIFA, you would imagine you've got to have some footballing capabilities, unless you're Gianni Infantino. In Saudi Arabia, and Al Nassr were 1-0 down in the 90th minute, before scoring in the 93rd, 102nd and 105th minute to win 3-1. Ronaldo's taken Fergie time over there. And speaking of him, how about Sue in a different sport? In Switzerland, and we've got the comical scenes of a woman without a ticket being chased around at Servette by security guards that can't get near her. In Mexico now, and what is going on in Mexico? This is a child. His ID card says date of birth last Wednesday, and he's drinking a pint of Estrella. It's okay, little man, it's gonna be alright. And over in India, wild scenes at Kerala, who unbelievably walked off the pitch in their game against Bengaluru after a free kick that they didn't agree with was taken quickly, and they ended up going behind in extra time. Instead of trying to fight back and equalise, they walked off the pitch, then tweeted about it, to which Bengaluru said it's called a quick free kick. I mean, make your opponents walk off and then rub it in their face. Housery award. Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty. What a save! And that concludes The Beautiful Game. In a game between Alianza and Philadelphia Union, we've got an intruder getting himself onto the pitch, followed by the worst pun of all time.
I wonder if he's going to play in the position K9. Nope.
Scott Parker was unusually announced as Club Brugge manager. He's had a shocking record and has since been sacked by the Belgian side. I wholeheartedly believe it's because of the cardigans. The president of North Cyprus visited a school to show off his footballing technique, and it was going pretty well until late on in the clip. Up in Scotland, and football hooliganism starts at a pretty early age. The best disallowed goal of the week has to come from Jonathan Sowa in the Ghana Premier League with an outrageous scissor kick, but was unfortunately offside. I'm beefing the linesman again. Look, I told you it was offside. In Brazil, and after giving a seemingly questionable decision, a referee over there had to get protection from the police from unhappy footballers. During the melee, and a linesman struck out at one of the coaches on the way through. South American football is just different. And so is African football, because Goodswill Simon Sabio is apparently South Sudan's under-18 goalkeeper. Yeah, the goalkeeping coach, mate. He was under-18s in World War II.
You're 17.
Yeah, I just look older.
There's looking older, and then there's that.
Back in Brazil, and when a goalkeeper's gonna learn to just put their foot on the ground to control the ball. Closer to home, and at Watford, Slaven Bilic has been sacked as their manager, continuing the trend of bosses getting about 3 business days in charge. Apparently they've hired Chris Wilder till the end of the season. End of the season? Yeah, end of the month at best. Meanwhile, at Forest Green, who are famously an all-vegan club, they announced their player of the month as a Quorn star. At Dundee United now, and it's probably best to try and tell their goalkeeper not to play out from the back. In America, and up against Austin FC, all a Violet defender's got to do is get it out for a throw-in. You're under no pressure.
Violette in the number 20s played a good ball out wide again. Louima takes a deflection, header, and it's a big save from Stuber.
Or just put in a great finish for them, to be fair. Now, snow has been falling in the ungodly month of March here in the UK, but over in Russia, and I think things are a little bit worse over at UFA. Have that happen in London and the tube's not working for 3 years. In the Dutch second tier, and PEC Zwolle won 13-0 this week. Surely there's a rule over there where you just got to automatically relegate them for a loss like that. At Zamalek in Egypt, we've got a player coming off, being substituted and applauding the fans as he walks off the field. Problem is, there's actually just no fans in the stadium. In Argentina, and somebody's been feeding these players far too much Red Bull because the red cards are getting out of control. In Ecuador, and we've unlocked an entirely new type of time wasting, rolling back onto the pitch whilst injured 3 or 4 times. In Indonesia, once again, and we've unlocked an entirely new way to defend a free kick. Big fan of the acrobatics, not too practical though. Over at FC Ural, and I'm not gonna lie, Rafael Augustiniak might want to take a trip to the dentist. I don't think he should be holding his tooth there. In Lithuania, and there was drama late on, where Kauno lost the Lithuanian Community Shield because the referee didn't see this ball go over the line from a pen. In Ukraine now, and look, listen lad, all you've got to do is claim the ball.
Чук потужно, прицільно пробиває під поперечку. Єрмолов.
The greatest moment I've seen.
And at Simba AC over in Tanzania, the owner of their club was seen handing out wads of cash as a reward to players after a most recent victory. And in the next game, he'll probably be handing that same money to the opposition to let them win. Now that it's time for still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now, this is a segment of the show where I bring to you the best of Sunday League and amateur football. And picture the scene. You've got a penalty to win your side the match in the 90th minute. All you got to do is slot it away. Except it's saved by the goalkeeper, but you got a chance to convert. Yeah, no, that referee's name is definitely Alan, and he hasn't broken one rule in the workplace. On to the weird stuff though now. There's a very odd situation going on in Norway right now, where Tromsø played a friendly match, or a warm-up game for the start of their new season. But instead of the traditional 2 halves, they decided to play 3. Now, obviously, I don't think anyone played the entire game. A lot of people just played 90 minutes, but Tromsø took 22 players for the game, and it ended up being 3 halves of football. In Russia, and how about this for a long away day, as Khabarovsk, a side based all the way on the east of Russia, close to Korea and Japan, travelled to Baltica from the exclave of Kaliningrad near Estonia and stuff. That journey was a 7,000-kilometre away day, the biggest away day in any European league. In Luxembourg, and the manager of Kerzheng is currently top of the entire league's disciplinary charts. He's the only manager, seemingly, to be doing so, above all the players in the league with 3 yellow cards and 3 reds already. And finally, there's a story of a man called James from South Shields, who has a football manager save with an Icelandic side called Grindavik. He fell in love with the club after providing a ton of success to them, and travelled to the 2nd Division side stadium in a 2,800-mile trip on holiday to go and meet the owners and the staff at the club. See, this is what that game will do to you. That's gotta be a difficult one to explain to the wife, surely. Oh, the Northern Lights, hun. Yeah, the football manager, though. That, though, is gonna wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at the official FNG on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.